Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Bodybuilding Motion. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about back training, and one of the exercises that you don't see me do a lot, but it is a very effective exercise if it's done properly for your body type. And that exercise is the one-arm row. Now the one-arm row is one of those exercises where you can use a lot of weight if you throw the weight around. You could, twist your way through it, or just, pull the lawnmower and use a lot of the twisting in the lower back in order to get that weight up. But ideally what you want to do is, at least when you're bringing the weight up, not to bring the shoulder back too far, meaning you don't want to twist beyond the fact where your shoulders are pretty square to the floor. I mean, I know there's going to be some deviation there, but the emphasis of the movement is more to stick the chest out and to flex the lats, but not to twist so much. And back in the day, when I was first learning how to one-arm row and I'd watch different guys in the gym, there'd be lots of guys using 140s or 150s, just pulling that weight up. But a lot of times what they were doing is twisting the weight up. And sure, they were getting, one could argue they were getting some sort of back involved, but they're getting a lot of delt, a lot of arm involved. And I noticed that by doing movements like that, my delts blew up, right? I was getting a lot of good delt work, but I wasn't necessarily firing the lats. And that's really what I was trying to do with the one-arm row. So the way to do this is to pull the dumbbells to your waist, but not twist so much in the process. You can stretch the dumbbells down if you want. I have no problem with that. But when you're bringing the shoulder back and you're bringing that dumbbell up the side of the waist, you want to stick the chest out and try to keep your shoulders as square to the floor as you can, or pretty close to square. Now this is going to help you just fire the lats and not necessarily bring in all the twisting type of muscles in the spine. Now, of course, you're going to get some isometric contractions in the twisting muscles in the spine, which is why you see me not do one-arm rows that often. Because I find, because of my shoulder dislocation, one arm goes down farther than the other, and it's sometimes awkward when I do these movements just one arm at a time. So I prefer to do them two arms at a time. But today I actually did some one-arm rows with lighter weight just for fun, because this is another thing I want to talk to you about, is that sometimes when you feel the obligation to go heavier in an exercise, it can destroy your happiness in that exercise, especially if it's not an exercise that you are in love with. Sometimes, if the exercise is not something that you're in love with, what you can do is do it lighter and just concentrate on the feel. And that will still provide you some benefit and some results. And don't underestimate that. And that's what I did today. I just said, I don't really like one-arm rows when I'm going heavy, because the twisting muscles start to come into play as far as I have to hold my shoulders square in order to isometrically keep them in place. But I find that if I use lighter weight, it's not as much of a factor, and I can just concentrate on squeezing the lats and having a good lat pump. And of course I do get some rear delt involved and some biceps, so that's always a good thing for me anyway. But at the same time, I'm noticing a good overall back pump from that. So yeah, the one-arm row is effective as long as you're not twisting too much. Don't lock the elbows out of the bottom either. I see some guys do that with back exercises and it always makes me cringe. Keep the arms slightly bent at the bottom. And it can be a very effective exercise for building a back, and at the same time it can give your lower back a rest when you've done a lot of squats or deadlifts or Romanian deadlifts or whatever it is you're doing. Your lower back does tend to get a pounding. So sometimes on a back day, if you feel like doing rows and maybe you don't have access to a machine, or maybe you just want to have a different type of sort of feel, the one-arm row can be great, because let's just face it, by working those muscles that twist the spine isometrically, by holding the shoulders square to the floor, you are actually strengthening the lower back overall as well, because those rotatory and multifidi muscles close to the spine, when they get stronger, they also help stabilize the spine too. So there is definitely something to be said for that. So yeah, try this out. I'm sure you guys are already doing one-arm rows, but this is my take on it. And in case you aren't doing one-arm rows, incorporating them into your training from time to time is a good idea. Motion. Natural